Hey YouTube, I'm out here today. Move this up really quick. Hey YouTube, this is Montana Mountain Man. I'm out here today zeroing in 2 rifles for bear season. This one right here, it's a 7mm Remington Magnum. I'm shooting 160 grain Barnes TSX without the tip. And using 78-28 powder, and I'm going to zero it in at 200 yards. Today I kind of wanted to talk about why I'm doing it this way. I've used lead sleds, I've used almost anything you can think of, but what I've realized is out in the field you're not going to use a lead sled and all this other kind of stuff. So today I'm out here doing exactly what I would use in a field other than this tarp, and this is going to give you the most accurate 200-yard shot that you yourself is going to do out in the field. The best possible rest. You know, there's other ways of doing things, but if you're taking a laying down shot and you have the time and it's a little further away, you're going to have this time to set up sometimes. But I'm going to do it this way because this is the most natural way someone's going to shoot. They're not going to shoot off the back of a truck with a lead sled at 200 and 300, 400, 500 yards. I'm out here doing this the natural way, when you're laying down, when you spotted something out there at 300-400 yards, and you're going to shoot this way when you have time. And you're going to have those shots where you're not going to have time to lay down. You're going to have kneeling shots and everything. That's just something you're going to have to practice on yourself. And I encourage that. You're going to want to take kneeling shots when you're out practicing because they're not as steady, and you're going to still want that steady enough shot to take down an animal at that far away. So I got a 7mm Remington Magnum, like I said, and we're going to zero this thing in at 200 yards. It should be pretty close from last year. And one last thing is I used to sight this rifle in, all my rifles in at 100 yards. And I used to shoot just a little high to make it dead on at 200 yards. Well, it's not really all that accurate. I mean, you can get pretty darn close, but I like to be exactly accurate at 200 yards. So I'm going to start doing it this way from now on. Take a little bit more time, and it's going to be worth it in the end. So here we go. Alright, so if you see there, my first 2 shot low. So I raised it up a little bit, and my next one hit right below the bullseye. And then I shot a 4th round just to make sure my zero was totally, zeroed in. And I shot one more and it hit right next to the bullseye. So I'm gonna let my barrel cool down for a minute or so, and I'll shoot one more bullet, and if it hits right next to the bullseye, I'm gonna call it good. Okay, so I taped up all those holes. Now I'm shooting a 338 Win Mag. Same exact way. 225 grain Barnes tip triple shock. So this one has the tip instead of not. 225 grain bullet with 72 grains of IMR 4831. Now you people out there that realize that might not have been the best group, but I wasn't out here for a group. I already have my grouping made up for that particular gun. I always group my guns at 100 yards to get the best possible 3-inch group I can get. Now if you get an 1.5 inch group at 100 yards, you're not going to get that same thing at 200 yards. I don't have one of these spectacular scopes that you can just dial up at 200 yards and aim right on it, okay? Or 300 or 400 yards. I'm all estimating once it gets past, 300 yards. Once it's at 400 yards, it's not really Kentucky windage, but it's definitely not the easiest shot. Well, on an elk and a deer, it's not too terrible, but on paper it can be a little tricky. These people out here that have these $2,000 scopes, they can dial it right up to, all they got to do is range it 550 yards, they dial it up and then take the shot and aim right where they want to. Well, those of us that don't have that option, that can't afford it, we kind of do a little Kentucky windage vertically, okay? And that's exactly what I do. I don't have to do this here on 200 yards. But once you get out there at like 300, 400, 500 yards, you kind of have to, okay? So let's get on with the 338 Win Mag. This is at 200 yards, and I'm not out here for a grouping with this one either. I don't know where it's hitting. I'm gonna figure it out, and then I'm gonna move it up right towards that center circle. Once I can get a few shots land right there, I'm done. Because you gotta remember, I'm shooting this as I would shoot in the field. I'm not out here to get, target shooting an inch at, 1,000 yards, okay? This is for your all hunting, scenarios. You're gonna be laying down, you're gonna be sitting up, you're gonna be kneeling, so let's get this started. Okay, I moved it up. Here's the next round. Okay. Gonna have to move it up quite a bit. It's not hitting the circle exactly. We'll get it there. Cool down for a minute or two. Try a few more shots. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and shoot 2 more rounds. I didn't move the scope at all. And if I hit where that last one did, or close to, on the last few shots, I'm going to leave it. But like I said, this is not precision shooting. This is for your normal hunting people that can't get out and shoot so freaking far away and be, an inch at 700 yards. So here we go. the last 2 shots I should have to take. Okay, last shot. If it hits right there, I'm done. Or close to. Alright, so the last one hit just to the left of the target there. Gonna leave it. So that concludes my whole thing about shooting at 200 yards. You know, I don't have the best rest, but this is the best hunting scenario rest you're gonna get. And at 200 yards, that wasn't too terrible. Like I said, I haven't shot both of these rifles in over a year, so they could have been off. You know, they were on 2 years ago, or last year, or whenever I used it. But that doesn't mean it's always gonna hit right there as you left it, you know. I ride an ATV, it could have bumped on the ATV a little bit, you know, could have you know, tipped over at the house or something, you know. It can rattle over any time. So you always want to make sure you're zeroing it correctly. And make sure you're always coming out here and zeroing it. If you just think that you were, oh, that was good last year, you come out here and shoot it again, that doesn't always mean you're gonna be hitting right exactly where you left off. So that concludes my theory, so I'm gonna pack up and go. So from the great state of Montana, keep it right.